German stereotypes, the dirndl, humor, and German efficiency. The question here is true or false? Go ahead and answer in the comments down below. We're going to go over this together, and I'll share what I've learned and, what you guys have told me.
I picked out 5 German stereotypes. How much truth is in them, and where did they come from? But first of all, which ones annoy Germans the most?
Probably the World War II stuff.
Viele denken, wir würden in Lederhosen rumrennen und Oktoberfest, Bier trinken.
Dirndl und Lederhosen, das ist ein Klischee.
Oh yeah, that too. But I feel like things that like ignorant things that Americans say and stuff and whatnot, people still have. There's remnants of that still. There was a video that I reacted to recently, and you guys are like, "Oh my God, people still like bring up the World War II stuff." Da 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 da. They do. They definitely do, but not a lot. Not as much as they did back in the day. Now it's literally this, like, beer, Brezel, like all that good stuff, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of the stereotypes that are brought up are mainly aimed at Bavaria, actually, and not Germany as a whole. But people lump it all under Germany because they don't know the breakdown of Germany in general. I didn't either. I didn't know that Bavaria was a section of Germany at all. I didn't know any of the Bundesland or any of that.
Das kann man so nicht nehmen.
Yeah.
Dass die deutsche Sprache so aggressiv wirkt.
Dass die Deutschen keinen Humor haben, also jedes Land hat irgendwie einen eigenen Humor, also das ist Quatsch.
Yeah, honestly, I've grown to love the German humor, man. Didn't even realize that was basically the humor that I appreciated even before getting involved in like German humor. Initially, I was like, oh, these are really dry. They're like dad jokes, But actually, bro, German humor is super dark. And you guys have definitely seen maybe a few videos of mine in the past where I kind of broke it down a little bit. But like, yeah, it's dark. And I love dark humor. Love dark humor. If it can be dry a little bit, if you understand the language a bit as a foreigner and whatnot, then you'll understand exactly how dark those jokes can get and how hilarious a lot of the humor is, man. You just have to kind of really get in tune with the culture. But that was something that I also believed initially, that Germans had no humor, but then I thought to myself, that doesn't make any sense. That means like it'd be really arrogant of me to say that America is the only country that has any humor, or certain countries have humor and other countries literally have zero humor. It's just the lack of willingness to understand the humor of the other country, you know what I mean? So understanding German humor was awesome.
Ein bisschen umständlich, langweilig. Das sind
Langweilig.
Romanticized images of Germany often include a woman dressed like this.
Bro, this looked like an 1800s dress, man. I ain't gonna hold you, but that obviously the dirndl. I'm not. These you still see during Oktoberfest and whatnot. I've never been to Germany, but from what I've looked at and people who are over in Germany now that I'm very close to, people dress up. They go like, all right, cool, da da da. But that's not a daily thing, and that's, is that more Bavarian?
This is a dirndl, and the male equivalent is Lederhose, literally leather trousers. These types of folk clothing are very specifically linked to the southern state of Bavaria and neighbouring Austria. You might come across people wearing them day to day in Bavaria, but it's
Day to day? Damn, I didn't know that.
most common on special occasions and during festivals like Oktoberfest. The dirndl is just one example of folk costume in Germany. Most traditional dress, known as Tracht, started out as work clothes.
Tracht.
Various aspects of traditional idealized German culture, including Tracht, were later used in Nazi propaganda.
Ooh, shit.
The dirndl even got a bit of a makeover under the Nazi regime. A lower neckline, a slightly shorter skirt, and a tighter waist. The designs seen today vary from very traditional to very modern. And
Whoa, I have not seen that. Let's run that back real quick. Hold on. These are dirndl, bro? Oh my goodness. These almost look like business attire / some of them look like wedding dresses. Some of them look like prom dresses. There's a wide variation of them here. Wow, very modern looking. That's cool.
And apparently, the position of the apron's bow can indicate relationship status. For
What?
example, tied on the right means married or engaged, and on the left means single.
What? See, that's what I didn't know. I did not know that. That's crazy.
The stereotypical image of a German also tends to include a beer in the hand.
Hey, bro, listen. When I see any woman with anyone with a dirndl on, you know what I mean? I think automatically that dirndl gives you the strength of 10 men, because y'all can carry kegs of beer with one arm, bro. Crazy.
Usually in one of these enormous glasses. In fact, the Mass is another element of Bavarian culture that has somehow come to dominate the image of Germans abroad. Germany actually has an impressive range of glassware, sometimes with a specific glass to go with a specific type of beer.
That's
like
cool.
This Kolsch glass from Cologne. Of course, not all Germans like beer, but it is an important...
I'm coming to find that more and more people don't like beer than do. I told you guys I was never really a huge fan of beer. That's not something I go to. It's never my go-to for drinking. It's always a hard liquor or, a mixed drink. But never beer, bro. Like, I mean, if it gets offered, then I'm like, I might taste test it, but that is never a go-to for me. However, I had to try, German beer, obviously, because my channel for a while, even to this day, centers primarily around German content, and it tasted really good. However, I'm not a beer drinker. I'm more of like, more liquor. You know what I'm saying?
Part of the culture overall.
Liquor.
With different beers also connected to regional identities. Traditional brews which follow the rules of the beer purity.
How many of you guys actually watching this video drink liquor versus beer? Or just let me know in the comments down below. Do you prefer beer or just hard liquor or mixed drinks? That's the third category. Let me know in the comments down below.
Still dominate, but the country has seen a boom in craft varieties too.
Wow.
And the popularity of non-alcoholic beer shows that the Germans' taste for beer is more than just a thirst for alcohol. Cheers to that.
Nice.
5 Minuten vor der Zeit ist es
5 minutes for your time.
deutschen Pünktlichkeit.
Oh,
So goes the
wow.
German saying,
Punctuality.
which means that punctuality in Germany means arriving 5 minutes early.
Yeah, I messed it up. I was like just reading the first part of that shit.
Well, whoever decided this forgot to tell the trains. It's practically a national sport here to moan about train delays. And after 4 years of commuting, I'm well and truly on board, so to speak. But a lot of German people do pride themselves on being on time. And punctuality is a characteristic you see again and again attributed to the Germans. So where did this punctual reputation come from? Let's talk to a time expert.
Die Preußen waren sehr erfolgreich in der Vertaktung von Mensch und Maschine. Die protestantische Ethik, eben der Fleiß, der Gehorsam, die Pünktlichkeit als Tugend, die hat auch viel dazu beigetragen.
Pünktlichkeit is punctuality. That's a new word I just learned right now. Pünktlichkeit. That's insane. I think I've come across that word before. I've seen it. And I'm like, sounds like punctual, but maybe it's not. But that's cool. Pünktlichkeit.
Haben die Deutschen allgemein ein gutes Verhältnis zu der Zeit?
Da ist jetzt die spannende Frage, was heißt gut? In Deutschland ist der Begriff Zeit häufig mit so einem Muss verbunden. Zeit ist etwas, das kann ich eben organisieren, sparen, in den Griff bekommen. Ich muss sie managen.
That brings us on to the next stereotype, German efficiency, which gets a big thumbs down from me.
Damn. Okay. Why? Why?
A dictionary definition of efficient is working or operating quickly and effectively in an organized way. Okay, so the Germans might have the organization part down, but speed and effectiveness, not so much.
I have heard this complaint as well. Much like she brought up the Deutsche Bahn issue in the past, I've brought this, so I've never been to Germany. I'm going to keep saying that. I've never been to Germany. I plan on going to Germany at some point. I can't tell you when because that's always changing. I started heavily getting into the German scene in 2020 during the pandemic. So yeah, obviously couldn't travel then. 2021 was the tail end of that. 2022, finally things were opening up worldwide and whatnot. But by that point, your boy got sent to this country, wonderful place of Korea. A lot of people have complained about the Deutsche Bahn and it not being on time and whatnot. And I said that obviously, like when you're taking public transportation, the times do vary in general. Doesn't matter what country you're in, the trains are not going to always be exactly on time. They might be 10 minutes late, 10 minutes early, sometimes 30 minutes late, sometimes an hour late. It depends. And you kind of have to plan around that. But I heard that in Germany, it can be like really, really, really inconvenient. So interesting because I planned on visiting Germany and using strictly just public transportation and whatnot. So that being said, what places would be the most effective for that? And also, what what train stations are safer than others? I know that sounds crazy, but there were some train stops in Chicago, for instance, when I grew up, or where I grew up, that were not so safe. You know what I mean? I know Germany, for the most part, is pretty safe, but y'all also said that there are parts where you'd be like, hey, man, you might want to stay away from that place. Let me know in the comments down below.
Did you know it took 632 years to finish building the Cologne Cathedral?
Well, yep.
A more modern
very
case
elaborate.
study that brought global visions of German efficiency crashing down was the
Like the airport. Oh, she just brought that up.
new BER airport in Berlin, a project plagued with problems from the get-go.
Yeah.
It finally opened in 2020, billions of euros over budget and 10 years behind schedule, just in time for the coronavirus to hit, bringing most air traffic to a standstill. Interestingly, it often seems that the Germans' love of precision and planning actually gets in their way. If Germany ever wants to live up to its efficient reputation, it's going to have to break up with bureaucracy.
Damn.
What was it Mark Twain apparently said? A German joke is no laughing matter.
Oh my gosh.
Bit harsh, Mark. Personally, I know plenty of funny Germans, and I think most people appreciate good comedy, right?
Honestly, I feel like I said, you need to understand the humor, the culture. You have to understand the culture to understand the humor. You know what I mean? If you don't understand the culture, you will not understand the humor. This also relates to any country, right? If you don't know what is currently happening in the pop culture scene, in that country and whatnot, what is, current as far as trending information, current data, and, events, then yeah, a lot of things are going to go over your head. How is the language designed? How is the culture designed? What's a norm? What is an uncommon sort of thing in said country? Those are ways that you can understand humor in any country, and a lot of people, they don't, so they're like, huh, what, the freak? So, and then they're like, you know what, maybe this country's just not funny, unfunny, there's no humor here, and it's just the lack of understanding.
However, what is sometimes missing from the comedic toolbox here is the ability to take things a little less seriously.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're looking to take life a little less seriously, maybe you should join us on twitch.tv/JamesBraying. We stream very often over there. We play a lot of games these days. We used to do a lot of reactions. We still do from time to time, but go ahead and hit that link in the description. Follow me on twitch.tv. Say hi to your boy and challenge me to speak some German.
And have a good old laugh at yourself. But don't take my word for it. Let's talk to someone who knows a lot about the German relationship with humour. Gail Tufts is a comedian from the United States who's been in Germany for more than 30 years.
This country is the size of Texas, but it is incredibly regional, and not just with accents, but also with what they eat, what they drink, and when they laugh. The people who come from the Rhineland, they're ready to laugh. They're ready to have a good time. They're the party people of this country. And then the Berliners have seen everything because it is the cultural capital of this country. So they'll all sit back and say, well, tell me about it. And the North Germans are incredibly dry, but really smart. And in the South, there's a warm-heartedness.
Why is it always the Southern people are the warmest people, bro? Just like in the States. Ironically, that's like the most racism. But they're also sweet people, generally speaking. You know what I mean? It's like the culture in the South in the United States is very Southern comforty, very, very warm, very, very inviting. But at the same time, a lot of your racial incidences are in those areas as well.
In
Historically.
Stuttgart, for example, talk about food. You can do a 20-minute monologue about bread. They will be rolling in the aisles in Stuttgart.
So where does the no sense of humor reputation come from?
You have to kind of go back to the Second World War. In
World War
those glorious,
II,
the golden 20s, where there was so much entertainment and so much theater. A lot of the Germans that were involved in that were Jewish. And they were either exterminated and murdered, or they fled to the States. And after the war, of course, things weren't that funny, because where does comedy come from? It comes from my experience, my storytelling. And I think there was an entire generation that it was very difficult to find the humor in anything.
Makes sense. After going through something like that, that makes a lot of sense.
Although, once the 50s, 60s started, there were some great German comedians. Loriot, for example. In the 90s and the 2000s, all of a sudden comedy clubs started popping up and mixed shows where there would be 4 different comedians a night. And now you've got a comedian for every taste. Germans do have a sense of humor, and thankfully it's thriving, because in these times we all need a sense of humor.
I'd love to know how many of these things are part of your image of Germany, and which stereotypes from your country get on your nerves the most.
I think still to this day that most of the people in America all come from Texas. That's like probably the most irritating stereotype. But that's pretty much it. You guys let me know what you think about that. Follow me on Twitch, catch me live, challenge me, make me speak German.